Here are 5 tips on how to use your Ikonart stencils on glazed ceramic.
Alright, so I just printed off my design on white paper first. I always like to do that before I make my stencil, just to make sure the sizing looks correct. And that looks good. So I'm going to be doing 2 different colors today. And I already mixed my colors up. So this top one is just my Ikonart white with a teeny bit of blue and red in it, barely any. And then this bottom color is just a mix of blue and red with a tiny bit of white in it. So I have my 2 colors and I'm going to use this kind of as my guide. So I separated out my 2 different colors and I'm going to do this one with the darker color and this one with the lighter color. So I'm going to actually start with my lighter color. And the first thing I always do when working on ceramic or glass is use some glass cleaner and clean my surface. I don't want there to be any residue or any kind of fingerprints or anything that might interact with my adhesive on my stencil. All right, so that looks good. It's nice and clean. And now I can add my stencil. So I have my notch already cut out of it, so I'm just going to remove the backer by flicking that off like that. And then I can just add my design. And I always like to rub down really well, make sure there's no bubbles, and I use this plastic squeegee that comes in your kit to burnish out any bubbles whenever I am using Ikonart on ceramic or glass. So I'm just gonna really make sure that's on there good because I don't want any paint to seep underneath my stencil, of course. When working with ceramic mugs or in something that you want to be able to wash, we always recommend a multi-surface paint. So we use the Ikonart ones and we've tested them, they work really good. And then if you want to be able to put them in the dishwasher, you just follow the directions on the back to heat set them. And that's why we recommend using a multi-surface paint that's specifically meant for this purpose. And then the 4th tip is to use a cotton round, or your finger works really well too. I just find the squeegee does not work as well. So I am starting with my lighter color. So I'm just going to scoop on some of that paint that I mixed up. And then I'm going to use this cotton round, probably put on too much there, to just kind of get the paint in all the openings. And this is helping me glide on the paint really nicely without pushing too hard. It's helping me give a nice even coating. So I just grabbed another clean one because I put on way too much paint. And now I'm just getting that all off of there, all the extra. And making sure I got it in all my openings. I missed a little bit over here. So to make sure it's in there, because once I remove my stencil, that's that. There we go. All right, so I just don't want any lines or anything like that. And then when I remove my stencil, I remove it fairly quickly so I don't get any lines additionally. So that looks amazing, perfect. So now I'm just going to dry this with a blow dryer and then we'll do our second color. All right, so that is all dry, and you do want that first layer to be completely dry. Otherwise, the adhesive from your second layer can lift up the paint. So I just used a heat gun and set that really well, and it's perfect. And I'm using the blue stencil film today, like I mentioned, and that is because the adhesive on the blue stencil film isn't as strong as the purple. It's perfect for smooth surfaces like this. The purple can almost be too sticky and it can cause problems when you're trying to remove it. So if you do have a purple stencil that you want to use on a mug, we just recommend like fuzzing it first, which is just like dabbing this on like a microfiber cloth or kind of like doing something to try to deaden that adhesive a little bit. But the blue stencil film works perfectly. So for my second layer, I kept these two stars on both designs so that I could line up where my second layer should go, and then I'll know it's lined up perfectly. So I'm just lining up the star on the right and the star up above right there. And now I know that those two are perfectly lined up. Looks great. And again, I'm going to use my squeegee to just burnish any bubbles out and just to make sure I have a really good seal. And then with these ones that are white underneath, I'm actually just gonna go right over the top of them with my second color. But if you didn't want them to be the second color, if I would want them to stay white, I could tape them off with masking tape. That also works. But I thought this would work just fine since I have white, a really light color white on the bottom. Okay. That's looking really good. And now I'm going to add my darker color. Again, I'm going to use my cotton rounds and just spread that around. And I'm just spreading it kind of like I'm buttering bread. I'm using enough pressure to make sure I get it in all the mesh openings, but not so much where I make the stencil bubble. And I'll just wipe off any extra. So I like making the stencil bigger than my piece right here so I don't have to worry about paint getting off the edges of my stencil. Especially when I'm doing mugs, this seems to help. All right, and then we'll just go ahead and remove that. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. So cute. So I actually don't love how that looks over the white. I'm gonna try to maybe wipe that off with a Q-tip before I heat set that second color. So it doesn't look terrible, but you can just slightly see a little white behind it on that one and on that star. And I just don't love that. So I'm just going to take a Q-tip. Since this paint is still wet, it should just come right off and the white underneath should stay just fine.
I absolutely love how this turned out. I love the multiple colors and of course the fact that it's dishwasher safe. I could use this as a mug or a soup bowl or a candle holder, but this same exact technique also works on, of course, more traditional ceramic mugs and even glassware. You use the exact same process. We also have this design available on our website on our free artwork page, so I'll have that linked below. My name is Fawn and I share tips and tricks on how to make and use Ikonart stencils. If you want a more in-depth tutorial on how to use different parts of your artwork to register multiple colors, you can check out this video right here. And make sure to subscribe to our channel and click on that notification bell so you get notified every time we upload.